Do you like being in prison? How about escaping? Stick around for the end of this review and hear 5 things I did like and 5 things I didn't like about The Escapists 2, where you are escaping prison. This game was brought to us in August of 2017 by Moldy Tooth Studios and Team 17 as a sequel to 2015's The Escapists. Their biggest additions were multiplayer and some enhanced gameplay. This game is a top-down tactical strategy game. I played this game on an Xbox One X, using the standard controller, wearing Turtle Beach Stealth 600 headphones, and enjoying a 4K HDR 27-inch monitor. My system info's down below if you'd like to take a look. The visual experience of this game on that monitor wasn't the best. The art style here is a low-res animated reality. The graphics feel a little bit dated even for a game that's 2017. And the low-res textures did not look great on this display. They didn't distract from gameplay, but a little bit more effort in those textures would have made the game feel a little bit better. The music in this game was indicative of the game state. It got kind of crazy when there was some crazy going on, and it got kind of laid back when things fell back into a more laid back state. But it also got repetitive and annoying over time. The sound effects for this game matched the visual look of the game. The quality and fidelity of the sound were very similar to console game from the Super Nintendo era. These audio and video choices were both likely a combination of stylistic and budget, so I'm not going to ding too much on this, but at the same time, a little bit of effort could have gone a long way in today's AAA game era. This game goes for $20 on the Xbox Store. As of this recording, that was down to $16 with a Gamepass subscription. There's a combo pack that bundles the original with this one for $35, and there's a separate combo pack that bundles all the DLC for $27. That one's down to $22 at this recording time as well. There are expansions to this. You can get to the DLC through the game or through the Xbox Store. All of the themed level packs are $4, but again, they're down to $3.50 when I recorded this. And finally, there's a season pass for $10, and that's down to $9. Speaking of Game Pass, this was a Gamepass Quest. In this Gamepass Quest, we had to trigger a lockdown. That happened during the tutorial level. I was about 9 minutes into the game. Might have been able to get a little bit sooner, but I was kind of taking my time learning what was going on, and I gained no achievements before completing this Gamepass Quest, meaning that this quest is an achievement-safe quest. If you like hearing about these Gamepass quests as soon as they happen, make sure you subscribe down below. More people subscribing means I can spend more of my time getting these reviews done and these videos done in a more timely manner. You'll get them sooner, you'll get a longer time to decide whether you want to do the quest or not. This game doesn't have much of a backstory. It's somewhat generic. Your character is dropped into prison and you need to escape. That's about it. There's no overarching story beyond that either. Each level is its own independent prison that you need to escape from. There's no story about how you go from one to the next. The entire game, character story, doesn't really matter. This is all about solving the escape puzzles. Now, there is some story in this game in the form of the quests other characters have for you. They get a little exclamation point over their head showing you that they have a little favor they'd like you to do, and that favor often comes with about 2 or 3 lines of a little bit of a story. These game's controls are fairly quick to pick up. There's movement and interacting with the world via the analog stick and the various buttons and triggers. That all works pretty well. The directional pad is used for chatting in a multiplayer environment. I did not play multiplayer, so I don't know how well this works in actuality, but I do know whenever I accidentally hit that button, things didn't go great. It was kind of confusing and not very intuitive. Probably would need to take a little bit of time actually using it to memorize how that's mapped out. Finally, the menu navigation was a little bit clunky. This is probably fixed on PC because you can use a mouse to navigate the menus. Navigating those menus with the controller and the buttons, as with all games like this, wasn't the greatest using a controller. The gameplay loop here consists of doing a bunch of required tasks to blend in, doing favors to get rewards, doing optional tasks to improve your stats, plotting an escape, and doing that escape after specific actions to make it possible. Tasks will sometimes require a small minigame. These are timed button presses similar to how sports games worked way back in the NES days. Other things that you might have to do with tasks are simply being in a specific area at a specific time. You may have to complete a set of tasks a certain number of times, be that moving one thing from one spot to another or doing one of these minigames. And some of your favors or tasks might include not getting caught doing these things. Speaking of favors, there's minimap guidance for these favors that wasn't made clear during the tutorial and took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to figure out. They generally consist of going to get something for somebody, assembling a weapon and attacking somebody for somebody, or putting something in a certain place for someone. Different levels seem to have different playstyles. So far I've seen just a couple. There's the basic escape, and then there's a timed evade and escape. In one of those, there were other characters that you would interact with, and the other one you were kind of on your own. There may be more gameplay styles up ahead that I just haven't had a chance to see yet. Plotting an escape in this game really consists of discovering a method to escape and then execute on it. This could be tunneling out through the underground, this could be finding a disguise and using a disguise to get out, this could be some kind of getting to the roof and taking the airborne escape, and it could also be cutting out your way through the fence. Some ways of escaping are going to require multiplayer, so watch out for that while you're playing. The difficulty in this game seems to be mostly tied to not knowing what to do and when to do it. There's not a difficulty setting in here for you to play around with to make the game easier or harder. The tutorial didn't cover some of the more nuanced rules and ways to accomplish things in this game. The replayability is going to be great if you get into the multiplayer aspect of this game. As a single player, getting all the escape variations and all the game achievements is about the only thing that's going to bring you back, because as with most puzzles, once you solve the puzzle, the mystique and desire to solve the puzzle kind of goes away. There were some things that I didn't like that much about this game. As I mentioned earlier, there were some things that were just kind of missing from the tutorial. It felt kind of light in places. These things wouldn't have been too hard for them to add in, however they seem to focus on a couple key aspects and leave out a lot of other aspects that just make the gameplay a lot easier for you. The game pace felt a little slow for me. Yes, it's a puzzle game, so you don't necessarily need it to be really fast-paced, but at the same time, there were instances where I wished I could have just sped up a timer a little bit so I could move on to my next task because I knew what I was doing at that point. I knew what I wanted to accomplish. Single-player limitations are not made clear in this game. As I mentioned earlier, there are some escapes that will require more than one person. If you go to try to do one of these escapes as a single player, you'll get all the way to where you can execute the escape and then you'll get told, oh, by the way, you can't do this escape. You may have wasted 20 minutes setting up to do the escape. The graphics and sound could have used a little bit more upgrading in here. You could have upgraded the textures, maybe added some fidelity to the graphics, and you would have still been able to preserve the feel of the game. Instead of harping on the story, which there is absolutely no story for, and everyone that's listened to any of my other reviews knows I really love a story in a game, I'm going to mention the lack of guidance on what to do as the last of my dislikes. You get dropped in the prison, you know you want to escape, but really, you're dropped in and start your routine. You don't have any kind of guidance on what types of escapes might be possible from within that specific prison. You have to go through and discover those on your own. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but a touch of guidance would have been a little better for me. If you dislike this video in this review format, put a comment down below and tell me why. I'm always looking to improve and your feedback is greatly appreciated. On the other hand, if you liked it, just like these 5 likes of the game that I have coming up, make sure you hit the button down below, the little thumbs up. That'll help you get more of these videos into your feed whether you are a subscriber or not. Speaking of those likes, the first one I'm going to mention is local multiplayer. I feel like this has been lost in a lot of modern games. You can get online and do multiplayer online, but having that local multiplayer, there's just something about sitting right next to the person you're either cooperating with or competing against that cannot be recreated in an online-only multiplayer environment. I also like that this game is all about puzzle solving. I love a good mental challenge, and I love looking at things as a puzzle to be solved. This was true when I played Hearthstone. Every turn I would look at as a puzzle with a solution, good, bad, and otherwise, that I am trying to find the best one of. I like that there are multiple paths to success in this game. There are at least 3 escapes for every level. I believe only 3 that are acceptable escapes. So being able to go through and choose the one that works best for you as you're playing the first time is a really great way to just help more people enjoy the game more thoroughly. Between the multiplayer aspect and the multiple paths to success, another thing I like is that there's going to be some emergent gameplay out of here. People are going to figure out ways to work together that the development team never intended or expected, and they're also going to find ways to compete with each other that were never intended or expected as well. Anytime there's emergent gameplay possible in a game, that's a good thing, and it really helps the game's longevity. Finally, much like the game of chess, I feel like this game is going to be easy to learn but difficult to master. You start out with some easy prisons, you go on to medium and hard prisons, you can go online and have random people that you're going to be doing these prisons with, and I just feel like there's a lot that you can do and can figure out on your own, but being able to do it really well, getting really good at it is going to take a longer time. My final verdict on this game is to play it while it's on Game Pass. If you really get into the multiplayer, then I would buy it before it goes off of Game Pass, because of course you get that Game Pass discount. If you really like strategy puzzle solving games, that would be another reason to buy this game, whether it's on Game Pass or not. For me personally, if I start getting into multiplayer, I'd probably pick this up, but otherwise I'm likely to pass on this particular game. Make sure you keep checking back on the channel for more videos. There are monthly quests, and there are always a couple games on a weekly quest that I try to get these reviews out for as rapidly as possible.